The next question we're going to concern ourselves with is, how is time related to existence? It's a good question, I think. Not my best, but it's definitely a good question. How is time related to existence? I feel like time is a good measure of success. How much have you accomplished in this amount of time? How long does it take you to sleep? How many widgets can you make in an hour? And time is also a good measure of events when you need to know exactly when something is going to happen. So if we just get rid of time right now, it would be very hard for me to say when I would want something to happen in relation to something else. I would always have to tie the two events together. And so if I was going to say, okay, I want lightning, for example, I want lightning to strike when the boy drops the ball on the ground. Now, anytime the boy would drop the ball on the ground, lightning would have to strike. Every single time. Or I could just say, whenever the boy drops the ball the first time, then I want lightning to strike. But then lightning would never strike ever again. I could say every third time, every fifth time, every eighth time. But the problem with this is that what if I just wanted lightning to strike at a certain moment? Or what if I wanted lightning to strike when and at a certain interval? Well, every interval I would need to have some way to measure that. And that is where we construct time into things. Well, I want lightning to strike at every minute or every certain amount of something. How do I measure that? Well, maybe if I come up with time, then I'd have an easier way of measuring it. So time would be, okay, I want it to strike every chabalas. And so every chabala is like a certain interval of time, right? I just made it up. Every chabala. So there's like 6 chabalas. It equates to like 15.6 hours or something. I don't know. But that's the point here. And as people, I think it's really interesting that we've actually helped to invent time as the measurement of this sequentiality, this passing of stuff. We've come up with days, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, and then shorter variations in between for different scientific events. So how cool is that? I think it's really a really cool invention that a lot of people just take for granted. It's like, hey, do you know what time it is? Yeah, let me look at my clock. But that's as far as we get into it sometimes. So if you go back to the first question of how is time related to existence, I think time is related to existence in the sense that it's been the sequential ordering of all things to make sure that nothing overlaps with one another. And we talk about time travel, and we know that we've been traveling through space. Is it possible to also travel through time? And I think that most certainly, yeah, it is possible to travel through time, and that because if you can construct something and measure it, then we can somehow also manipulate it. And by manipulating this time, we'd be moving through both time and space at the same time because they're so inextricably linked. And the next question we have to ask is, well, how do we move through time and space at the same time? And I think that's probably a pretty good question to think about.